learn to improve conversions and generate more leads with the video podcast at marketingoptimization.tv. Hi, and welcome to Marketing Optimization with Alex Designs. I'm your host, Alex Harris, and today we're chatting with Jordan from CartHook.com. How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Today we're going to be talking all about e-commerce optimization. One of the best things that I love talking about because people leave too much money on the table. To get started, what is your definition of optimization and why is it beneficial?
Okay, so I take a very practical approach to the whole thing. And what I consider optimization is just convincing people to do what you want them to do. And the optimization part is just getting better at it. So getting better at convincing people to do what you want them to do on your website, that's what I see as optimization.
Yeah. Well, maybe people probably don't know what CartHook is or maybe your history. So why don't you just go ahead and give us a little bit of background on how you got started doing optimizing e-commerce?
Sure. So currently I run CartHook, which is a abandoned cart application for e-commerce stores. But that all came about from my experience of running an e-commerce store with my two brothers, actually. We started the business a few years ago. At first, my older brother started it, and then my younger brother and I jumped on it, and then he came out, and we ended up running it, the three of us, which was a great experience. And we built it up over 12 months to $500,000 in revenue in the first 12 months, and then sold it. So it was kind of like a wild ride kind of experience. It was awesome. It wasn't, anything too life-changing on the sale, but it was a great experience. And when, where optimization fits in is we had three people, and each of us were in charge of something. My older brother was in charge of getting people to the site, so SEO and advertising and all that. My younger brother was in charge of after the sale, customer service, returns, and just making sure people are really happy and following up with them for repeat business. What I was in charge of was the site, which meant, okay, you get people in, I have to turn those people into sales, and then you have to deal with them after they buy. So I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any experience in e-commerce. I have a Wall Street background, and then I worked at my family business. So I was just in a situation where I was responsible for the success of the business, in this area. And that's how I got started. I was just kind of forced to learn, and it was such an interesting little journey. And I want to mention one thing specifically. We switched platforms over from Yahoo to Volusion. And the reason we did that was because Yahoo was so difficult to make changes. You had to rely on a developer. So switching over to Volusion, that was the first thing we did when my younger brother and I took over. And that is what set us up to be able to optimize. Because the whole process of optimization was learn something, try it. Learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply. And it was all these little things put together that started to make a big difference. So yeah, that's kind of how I got started in optimization.
Yeah, I mean, I remember working on those Yahoo stores, and people still have them, and they have that special kind of HTML with like their templates. Oh man, I definitely got a bunch of gray hairs by trying to optimize those pages for sure.
Right.
And Volusion, if you don't know, it's a hosted e-commerce solution, very similar to Shopify or BigCommerce. Volusion is just another different type of software. Very easy to set up, very easy to maintain. Got a great dashboard. Certainly worth checking out. I have a number of clients on that as well. So, in your optimization process, is there a framework that you follow specifically for e-commerce?
Yeah, what I followed, right? In hindsight, you can call it a framework, but when I was in it, I was just kind of living it. But now looking back, I use it for other situations. And that was the first step was to get the basics right, not to screw anything up. And it's amazing how much those basics are overlooked. So what I'm talking about basics are building trust, right? So that's trust symbols and design and making things look good and polished, developing a unique selling proposition, focusing on the benefits instead of the features, using colors the right way, right? Don't have your button that you want people to click the same exact color as your header and everything else. So all these basics, the truth is I didn't know about them at first. It's actually an interesting story how I learned the basics. And that's from, have you heard of Tim Ash from Site Tuners? Okay, so I got his book. I didn't understand a word of it. It's all math and graphs and theory. It's all the way academic optimization. So, but clearly he knew what he was talking about. So I hired site tuners to do a site review. $500 for a 1-hour review. My brothers thought I was crazy, but it was like the first month that we were jumping into it. And I said, we need to accelerate our learning quickly. And that 1 hour just tearing apart of our website that's what brought us from clueless to, okay, now we have a foundation to work off of. And that helped us get the basics right. So that, I would say, is step one. And then the second step, I think, is a little untraditional that I like to take, and that is not to rely on the web for everything. So once you said, okay, my site is optimized, I'm using the right colors and design, and I got trust symbols, I got credit card logos, I have all this stuff that's there. Then the tricky part, the part that you can't just learn just from online and just from A/B testing, is you need to learn what your customers actually want, not what you think they want. And the best way to do that is offline. So what we did is we encouraged people to call us. We had our phone number and email on every page, every product page, in the header, in the footer, just everywhere. Just encouraging, just going out of our way to say, we are a family business. We love your phone calls. We just did everything we could. And that led to, I can't emphasize enough how important that was in our success. So,
yeah, I love it because you had no choice but to optimize. You wanted to make more money, so you did a lot of trial and error, experimenting, and figured out what worked. And then you started to apply the qualitative data, doing the research, understanding what your customers are looking for, maybe what keywords that you're trying to find you, and then why or why not they actually convert, and then you're now modeling out different personas of the pains and problems and trying to actually get them to convert. That's the core of it right there. It doesn't take any special tools, any special A/B testing. It's really just trying to talk to your audience as much as you possibly can, and then try a bunch of different things to get them to speak to you, get them on the phone, get them to live chat with you, whatever. And then they'll actually tell you how to market the products.
Bingo.
Bingo. You can use those same keywords that they're talking to you in your headlines, and you're basically just using the exact same problems that they're trying to solve in your marketing material.
Yeah, we use their words.
Yeah.
We changed the names of our products to more closely align with what they were saying. I'll give you a specific example. We sold solar lighting. Okay, so these are solar lighting products, mostly from China. Right, they're powered by the sun and they light up when it gets dark. You see these in people's pathways. We sold a bit higher end ones, mostly spotlights. So we're selling a solar spotlight. What we figure is people using it to light up their palm trees and their walkways and their sign for their condo association. But we kept getting phone call after phone call. First one a day, then every other, it's just constant phone call with the exact same question. Will your spotlight reach my flag? And we were like, what? So they wanted to light up their American flag. Mm-hmm. Evidently, right. Someone coming from New York City doesn't know this stuff. Evidently, the American flag, the rules are that at night, you either bring it inside the house, or if you want to leave it out, you illuminate it. Yeah, so, all right, I don't know this. Nobody would know it unless they talk to the actual people who are buying. So this is a very big country. People have a lot of land, and a lot of people's flags, a lot of people have flags, first of all. A lot of them are far away from their house. They can't get electricity there. So they're looking to solar as their solution. And after a while, we heard this enough, and we said, okay, now we have to take what we learned offline and reflect it online. So then we went out and found manufacturers who sold specific lights for flags. We created a solar flag light category. So then those keywords on AdWords that involved flag, first of all, we created AdWords ads for flags after hearing that, and then we drove them directly to a flag category page. And then the first things we talked about in the benefits were, we'll reach your flag up to 25 feet. I can't tell you what that did for our business, because that started to align what people were searching for, what the ad said, what the product said, what the promise was, and then the reviews showing that people actually are using it for this purpose. And then, we were selling 10, 15 of these a day for $100 a pop. And we would never have done it if we hadn't talked to people on the phone and understood what they wanted and then reflected it online.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Giving people what they need and then creating specific products for people asking you for that. I mean, that's a great takeaway. Now we talked about the qualitative aspect, solving people's problems, but let's talk about a little bit about some maybe how you understand what metrics are going on your e-commerce site. The people want to either probably make sales or leads. So, how would you tell the average, optimizer how to, look at data or what software to use for e-commerce optimization?
Okay, so in terms of software, I did not use any A/B testing software. It was a few years ago when we ran the site, so they were not as good. I think the only option was like, Google's version, and that was a hot mess to even come across. So I basically just made changes and did testing live. I would just say, okay, let's switch this and see how it goes for a week. Let's switch this. So on that side of things, I wasn't very quantitative, but on the business side of things, we were very quantitative. And what we did, I guess, I love paid advertising, right? I'm just going to go out there and say it. I don't think people are crazy that, they shy away from it too much. So when I talk to someone, whether they're going for leads or for sales or for whatever the conversion is, I tell them to use paid advertising to do two things. A, to learn more quickly, right? You just get more targeted traffic in quicker. And then I tell them to not try to make a profit right away. Now, I'm not actually saying don't make money right away. I'm just saying don't expect to make a lot of money right away. If you're anywhere close to break even on paid advertising, you should be happy. Because if you're close to break even when you're just starting out, you dumb, and what you need to provide on the page, you're still kind of dumb. So if you start off near break even in the early stages, you're in great shape because from there you can optimize and then you can improve it. And so the metrics that we looked at, the big metrics we looked at is how much revenue do we get for each dollar of ad spend? And that's what we worked out. So we said, when we spend $1 and we get $1, okay, now we have a base to work off of. Let's improve this. Let's improve the ads. Let's improve the copy. Let's test the different ad groups. Let's test the bids. Let's test the landing page, the category page versus the product. Let's optimize the shopping cart. And then as that number goes up, once we got to a point where we were spending $1 in advertising for $5 in revenue, that's when we called in the AdWords expert, hired somebody who knew what they were talking about, and poured on the gas. And then that stayed consistent. When we spent 100, we got 500. When we spent 10,000, we get 50,000 in revenue. It stayed consistent once everything was optimized and we knew that key metric of I put X amount in, I get Y amount out.
Yeah, understanding your acquisition costs is just essential for e-commerce in general. And there's so much data that comes into your e-commerce dashboard alone. I mean, you can figure out your cart abandonment rates, your average order value. There's just really so many different metrics, and you have to figure out the right one for you to make the most profit in general. So now we came to the point where I want to give people, especially e-commerce site owners, maybe some actionable tips for them to optimize their own e-commerce business. What would be some of the top tips maybe that you see in general?
Okay, so I think I would take a step back and just look at the right way to approach the whole thing. So in terms of that, there are two big goals. The first is to build enough trust that someone's actually willing to pull out their credit card and give you money or give you their email address, whatever you're optimizing for. And the second is to give the person enough of a reason to go with you as opposed to someone else. The whole thing about the internet is very easy to go to your competitor's site. And so you need to do both of those things. So trust, that's the part that's done through design and branding and trust symbols, and that the giving someone a reason to buy from you over someone else is a little trickier. That's the unique selling proposition and the buy one pair of shoes and I'll give the other pair of shoes to somebody in need, and all these different things that make you stand out over other options. The second thing is to approach it as a process. If you approach it and say, I'm going to work really hard this week to make these changes and then I expect everything to get better, you will be disappointed. It's really a process. It's not one big change. It is a continuous improvement of little piece by little piece by little piece, and noticing things that are wrong and coming across new information, talking to someone new and making changes. And over time, these little changes add up to a more optimized site. And if you increase your conversion rate from 1.5% to 1.75%, it's a huge difference. So that's how I would approach the whole thing to begin with. And if you want to get specific, I think maybe it's a good idea to take a look at the shopping cart page that I used on our e-commerce site. There's a lot going on in there that took time to get to that state.
Yeah, and I love this process. And actually, if you're listening to this, we're actually going to walk through a shopping cart page that he has designed and optimized. So you can actually visit marketingoptimization.tv to actually watch the video if you are listening to this. But let's just jump right into that screen.
Okay, excellent. I apologize. My lawn guy is here, so hopefully that's not making too much noise. Okay, so what we're looking at is ycasolarlightstore.com. This is the site that we ran and built up and sold a few years ago. I will say, for my benefit, the guys that bought it have not done a great job of maintaining it. So there are some problems with it, but the important thing is to look at the shopping cart page that we have up on the screen. And I just want to walk you through a few of these pieces, and just know that this isn't where we started. This is where we ended up after a lot of work and a lot of changes. Okay, so let's go through it. First thing you'll notice is that normally we have left navigation on the site, and that's gone. And the reason that's gone when you get to the shopping cart page is because I don't want the visitor thinking about anything else besides one decision. Should I proceed to checkout or not? And anything else that clouds that and doesn't contribute to that decision being made is not good. So we get rid of the left navigation. The second thing we do, if you see just below the green navigation at the top, you'll see the YCA pledge. That was our attempt at a unique selling proposition. Right? We are selling products from China that other people have available, including Amazon. So there's literally no reason to buy from us other than what we provide you as a reason. So this is our attempt at a unique selling proposition in a tricky situation where we're selling products that are available elsewhere. Always a difficult situation. So we talk about our promise, we talk about free shipping, we talk about security. So that was added there for a reason. You see the credit card logos and payment logos very close to the proceed to checkout. You see two buttons that say proceed to checkout. Currently, I would make them a lot bigger. I like to call it a 10-foot test. If you take 10 steps back from your screen and look at your shopping cart page, or any other page for that matter, you should be able to tell very easily where to click. And that's the reason the proceed to checkout buttons are the color they are, and everything else is the color that it is. So along with that, you'll notice the recalculate button, the apply button for the coupon, the X's to remove the items in the cart. Those are all gray so that they are minimized compared to the proceed to checkout button.
Yeah, I love the composition, how you laid it out, because even on a hosted e-commerce solution, you can still optimize the experience as much as possible to get the credibility in there. This may seem obvious to us, but you want to be intentional about the things that you put in your cart. The credit card symbols, the lock symbol that's safe and secure. Even know that it may be on HTTPS. People may not still realize that it's a secure experience.
Right. And the truth is, at this point, the shopping cart page isn't HTTP yet. Right. This is right before. The great thing, Volusion, I will say, one really good thing for us. Once you get people to the one-page checkout, there is not much abandonment from there. So it's this page, it's the shopping cart page. And to your point that a lot of experts listening to this already know this, it's valuable to know it. It's also very valuable to be able to communicate it to your client. When you talk about someone's site and show them what you did and why, the way I'm kind of running through right now, it gives somebody a sense that you are purposeful and you know what you're doing. You're not just copying other people's sites. And I think that's a very good thing for people to do with their clients. Just walk them through the logic and thinking, and show the authority on it, and the reasons that go into the decisions you made for the design.
Yeah, and this is actually part of my quick wins process going through. As an e-commerce site owner, we find some of the best opportunities because obviously everybody usually has to go through the shopping cart experience. So you can just make those little tweaks here and there to get them further down the funnel to actually convert. Obviously, your sales and conversion rates are going to go up.
Right. And this is a point of leverage, the shopping cart page, because the people who end up at the shopping cart page, these aren't people that you're trying to optimize, right, to convince them to put something in the cart. These are people who are high likelihood of purchase. So if you make positive differences on the shopping cart page, you're making these changes for people who are already interested, and so it has a magnified effect on the conversion rate. So this is really a huge point of leverage. And as we made changes to this page, we saw significant improvements in conversion rates. And when you're spending, $1,000 a day on AdWords, making these little improvements, you feel them immediately, and it's incredibly satisfying, and it's also addicting because you say to yourself, the things I'm doing on the screen impact my business and my revenue and my profit, and that helps you commit to improving and learning as you go.
Yeah. So, as a customer, they go through and they add something to the cart and they leave. What would you use to get people back into your cart to those abandonment cart rates?
Right. So no matter what you do, no matter how amazing you are at at optimization, no matter what you do, you're still going to get abandonment. It's just part of it's just a reality. A lot of people are going to abandon. And for that, you should use an abandoned cart application. And that's really how the idea for CartHook came about. In my experience as an e-commerce store owner running this site, as much optimization as we did, we still had a decent amount of abandonment. And so looking for solutions for abandoned cart applications while running the store, I was very disappointed in my options. We ended up using one product and it wasn't good. If you look at that shopping cart page again, you'll notice that we don't allow people to make accounts. So we forced anonymous. And when you force an anonymous checkout, almost all of the abandoned cart applications no longer work with you because they require someone to register or to be logged in. So after selling the e-commerce business and wanting to get into the software business but still stay focused on e-commerce, I basically built CartHook with everything that I had in mind as an e-commerce store owner, and that right. So all these little features that you see in CartHook, they're there for a reason. They're there because I experienced these pains. Like, will the abandoned cart app work with forced anonymous? Right. One of the big issues was Volusion is great that it has a one-page checkout, but if the abandoned cart application you're using doesn't have the capability of picking up the email address as the person types it, if it requires a button to be clicked, first of all, that kills a lot of the reachable abandoned carts. And in a one-page checkout, there is no button. The only button you have is the actual checkout button. So it doesn't work for one-page checkout buttons at all, checkout pages at all. So that's kind of what led me to CartHook and to the features that are inside CartHook. They're all, with the experience that I had in mind as an e-commerce store owner.
Yeah, well, let's roll right into it. I'm curious how it actually works. Is it just like a script that you add to your shopping cart page? What's the technical difficulty of setting it up?
Sure. So I'm not technical, so I'm not going to get into the technology of it. My business partner handles that side of it, but I don't think that's nearly as important as just understanding how the whole thing works. Okay, so step one, somebody puts an item into their shopping cart. So what CartHook does is it picks up the data in the shopping cart, the quantity, the picture, the product name, the total, all that. Then they go over to the checkout page. As soon as they type in their email address, as soon as they leave that field, we pick up their email address and we associate it with the cart data. So boom, now we know this email address has this stuff in the cart. And then we just watch. We don't do anything, and we have the last piece of JavaScript on the order finish page or the thank you page, whatever you want to call it. If somebody hits that order finish page within 60 minutes, no problem, completed checkout, no big deal. But if somebody puts an item in their cart, puts in their email address, and then does not hit that completed order finish page within an hour, then we consider it abandoned, and that triggers a 3-part email campaign. And we kind of go according to best practices, 60 minutes after abandonment for email 1, then 24 hours later, and then 5 days later. And people's email inbox, that's where you want to be. So maybe they'll come back to your site, maybe they'll go to a competitor site, maybe they'll get back to work, maybe they'll go to Netflix, but they always come back to their email. So to get yourself into the email inbox, it's incredibly valuable, and it's legal because they started the transaction, and you're reaching out to them very specifically to complete the transaction that they started. So it all works very nicely. You can do it, and you can get into their email inbox 1, 2, or 3 times over the span of a few days, and it works. So we see our customers recover anywhere between 10 to 15% of their abandoned carts.
Mm-hmm. I think it's excellent, because I know I was actually doing some research for my e-commerce book, and there's really not that many solutions that are as diverse as some of the options that you have. So I'm really interested in trying it myself. So if I wanted to find out more about it, how can I learn more?
Yeah, go to CartHook.com, and right when you get there, you'll see an opt-in field to get a sample abandoned cart campaign. You basically will be able to see exactly what it looks like. And then the free trial is a genuine free trial. You get to run it for 30 days. The free trial doesn't start until you're actually active. And a lot of the best practices are kind of built in. So the email template is nice and very simple and very focused on conversion. We've done things like making the button HTML as opposed to an image, so it shows up in people's email client, even if they don't allow images. So we've kind of thought through all these different things. And there are some good other options on the market, but we do things a little differently, and you can sense that the approach is from someone like me that has run an e-commerce business. It's not technology focused. It is from the point of view of, I'm an e-commerce owner, what do I need and why? And our pricing, I think, is great. It's no lose. It's 10% of recovered revenue, and it's capped depending on your traffic. So if you recover nothing, you pay nothing. If you recover $500, you pay $50. And if you recover $5,000, you can be capped at $99 for that month, if that's the tier you're in. So, yeah, I love sending out the monthly emails to our customers saying, you recovered $2,844.16, and you've been charged $99, and people are happy because it's quantifiable. They know exactly what we're doing for them.
Oh, gosh. I mean, I know all the e-commerce site owners who just have all those high abandonment cart rates. This is just right up their alley, that's for sure. Awesome. I'm really interested in this type of stuff. Let's close. What would be one thing that you would tell optimizers to do in general to take their business, their website, their conversion rates to the next level?
I think, there's a lot of advice out there. If I were to put my own unique spin on optimization advice, right? I'm not the world's smartest optimizer, and I haven't written a book with all the formulas that go into it. But what I would say, from my point of view, is 2 things. A, it's a process, and I mentioned that before, and I'll mention it again because people who expect huge improvements right away don't get it. The second thing I would say is don't be afraid to get off the web. Use the real world the way it should be used. Sales online is the same thing as sales offline. People used to build trust by going over to your office and shaking your hand in a suit and meeting with you a few times before they asked you if you wanted to do life insurance with them, right? It's the same thing online. You need to build trust. You need to create a relationship. That's why everybody uses sales funnels these days and autoresponders. It's the same thing. So if you want to successfully do online what's always been done in sales, you need to figure out who these people are. And so don't shy away from getting on the phone, getting into Skype conversations. I mean, I'll tell you, with CartHook, which is software, every single person that signs up talks to me on the phone. The people that talk to me on the phone, 95% of them end up running the free trial, and then of those, a very high percentage turn into sales. The people who don't talk to me on the phone, it's much less. So get on the phone, create the relationships, learn, hear the words that they're saying, and then reflect that online. So that's that would be my take on optimizing online is one thing, but get it right with your customers. That's just as big.
I love it. Lots of great advice there. It is a process. It takes, none of this stuff is really sexy. There's a lot of thankless jobs in optimization, but it's something that I hope you're just as passionate about it as I am as well. Thanks a lot for your time, Jordan.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thank you for watching the Marketing Optimization Podcast with Alex Designs. Please remember to subscribe to all of the videos in my YouTube channel. Thank you.